Why rookie COs don't make it their first month on the job. Let's get into it. Basically, when we're talking about rookie COs and the job of being a correctional officer, a lot of times it is just a whole combination of factors that factor in whether you're going to make it or not. It's prison is seen through the regular so-called civilians' eyes as stuff they see on TV. They might see a TV show here and there, but you have 50 states in the United States, and every state's prison system is different. Uh, the federal prison, uh, the federal prison system is even more different a lot of times. So, depending on what region you're in or geographic location, depends on how that works. But basically, the correctional officer, no matter where you go, you have a certain set of rules that you're going to be able to go by and that will help you make it or break it. But the reason most correctional officers don't make it in their first month is just because they do certain things. So we'll just start off with a list of those. Number one, a lot of rookie officers come in and they try to be too friendly. And we try to be too friendly, that a lot of times can be perceived as weakness. So if you come in, you're a new officer, they put you on a pod somewhere or dorm somewhere, and you're overly friendly with the inmates, and you basically lose the authority portion of who you are and what you're supposed to be when you come to work, you're instantly going to be perceived as weak. And then the opposite end of that, a lot of rookie officers will be trained, a little bit by an older veteran officer. An older veteran officer, maybe he's been there 20 years. He's going to be able to do things and say things to inmates that you're not because he's developed a rapport with inmates over the years. So the rookie officer who tries to start acting like a veteran officer and tries to be hardcore by the book, cussing and screaming and trying to be an asshole, he's going to be met with fierce, severe blowback. And he tries so hard to be somebody that he's not that the stress of it gets overwhelming. Another thing that happens to a lot of rookie officers is they get intimidated. Inmates will always try to test you, whether you're a rookie or even when you're not a rookie and you've been there a while. They're always going to test the degrees of where can I go with this person, whether it's an officer or a staff person. They're always going to push the limits. And a lot of times people tend to not understand the rules as an officer, new officer. I'll give you an example. A lot of times, as a new officer, inmates will see you come on your post, and they will purposely do something that they know is against the rules, that they know for sure they're not supposed to be doing it. They do it in front of you because they want to see your reaction. Now, what they do might not be at the level of getting locked up, but they know that they're not allowed to do it. So they're going to see and test you and see what your reaction is and what you're going to do about it. Case in point, if you're sitting at an officer's desk, inmate reaches over the desk and grabs your pen off your desk. If you allow that to go on, he knows he's got you. If you immediately address the situation and even pull that guy up, pull hard on him, he's going to understand that you're not going to allow them to break the rules in front of you. So you have those couple things. And then you have the stress of 12-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts, the pressure from not being at home, your wife or your girlfriend wanting you home and you have to work. And all those things. Being a correction officer is not easy. It pays well in some areas it doesn't. So those things that I've listed so far are the many things that contribute to whether new officers make it or not. A lot of times it can be of an event that happens. You're new. Uh, there's a stabbing. There's a brutal fight. A brutal um, situation happens, and you know it affect the trauma of that. You see that, and if you're not used to it, whether you're inmate or correctional officer, staff, whatever, when you first come to prison and you see a lot of violence, you see a lot of people get hurt. As an inmate, you're supposed to not get involved, not not anything as far as pay attention to it or draw attention to it. As an officer, you got to do the opposite. You got to run to it. You got to, if there's blood, you got to step in it. So all these things, as a new rookie officer, either is going to make you or break you, and you're going to find out if you're made for the job or not. A lot of people come into the profession thinking, I can do this, and it's no big deal. I can see blood. I can see somebody. The first time you ever walk into a situation and there's knives going, people getting stabbed, and you're one officer and there's 80 inmates on a pod and this is going down, you find out real quick that survival is a human instinct and you're not diving in the way of a blade. I don't care who you are. People talk a good game about that kind of stuff, but when it actually happens, it reveals a lot about a lot of people. And a lot of times, rookies go into it and they get hyped up in training, or they'll get go to the academy and the trainers. You got some good trainers, you got some bad trainers, but a lot of trainers will hype guys up to the point where they walk in thinking they're Superman. And just because you put a uniform on that's got a badge on it and you got a radio doesn't mean that a shank won't go through your chest. Doesn't mean an inmate won't smack you in the face and knock your teeth out. None of that stuff protects you from reality. And reality sucks, especially if you're a new officer and you've got one type of perception of what being a correctional officer is, and then reality sets in and kicks you in the ass. Um, a quick story about a young correctional officer I knew. He'd been there, in the facility I worked for about two and a half weeks, and he never faced any immediate um, anything at all of any significance. We'll say that. So his name was John, and John was about 23 years old, 24 years old, and he uh, he was just a guy that was young and ambitious. His name was Brown. His name was John Brown. So Officer Brown came into the facility, and they had at that time they trained them on site before they went to the academy. So they had kind of like an in service for 40 hours where they went out, they did first aid, CPR, some defensive tactics, things like that. So after he got through the 40 hours of training, he thought, I'm good. I know what I'm doing. So for the first 2 weeks, there was nothing that really happened of significance. But, he went to several different posts, several different dormitories where, they tried to start him out on so called easier dorms where it was more laid back, relaxed, where nothing really happened. But on his third week, they decided to put him on intake. And an intake is where inmates that are coming in from the jails or different places, you process them in, and they go up to what's called the intake unit. The intake unit is where they do your classification. They figure out what kind of crime you did and your background and if medical needs and all that stuff. And then they determine, after you get a classification of level 1 to 5, then they determine whether you stay at that facility and move you to a different facility, or they just put you out on general pop. So this third week, on intake, there's several officers working, so you're not working by yourself. At that time, there used to be like 4 officers work the pod of 60 inmates. So this particular day, it was a normal day. It was shower day. So, they were bringing inmates out of their cells, taking them to the shower, and uncuff them, put them in the shower, and they shower. And during this time, chow came along. It's about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. That's when lunch came through. So they're in the process of doing showers and feeding. So his job at that time was just to go around and put the trays, feed the inmates by giving them their trays through the opening, which is called the beanhole. So they he was doing that, and whenever he did the bottom tier first, because this was a 2-tier cell block. He did the bottom tier, went up to the top tier. The first cell he got to, no, it's the third cell he got to during feeding. He noticed that a guy looked like he was up in the ceiling, um, looking. They usually talk through the vents, but he noticed a guy, which was a white guy, that the guy was discolored, and the guy had actually hung himself off of kind of like the sprinkler system, and there was a way he was able to loop a sheet around, and he got up there and hung himself. So, in a panic, he screams, and when he screamed, everybody was like, "What the hell is going on?" And he said, "Help! Help! I need help!" So everybody rushes up. They find the guy up there, blue. They roll the door. They go in, get the guy. They have to cut him down. They couldn't get him down by just trying to untie it, so they had to get a tool out of the control room, go up and cut loose the sheet to get him down. But obviously, by that time, he was dead. He was blue. His head was blue. His neck had the sheet had went into his neck. He tied it so tight, and then whenever he dropped, it cut into his neck. So he had some blood leaking out the side of his neck. It was a horrible sight, and the young rookie just couldn't take it. They take him down because anytime something like that happens, they offer you psychological, a counselor, therapist. They come in, they ask you, they try to talk to you, debrief you. But what happened to John is he had this overinflated ego and over emphasis on being a tough guy. And then when reality set in, reality got him to where he never came back to work. He just left that day. Of course, they sent him home. They said, "Go home. You need to take a couple of days off and then report back, but you don't go back on post. You report back to the shift commander." But he left that day and he never returned. And he's just one example of people or young guys coming into corrections and thinking that it's a game and it's all tough guy stuff. But when you see people dying and people getting stabbed and bad things happen, and you get cussed, you get threatened, you get all these things. Corrections is not for everybody, and that's why a lot of rookies never make it through their first month because they can't handle the environment. They can't handle the smells, the sights, all the pressure from not only inside your boss, your wife, all your home life. It takes a toll. So it takes a special kind of person to do it. Not everybody can, but it's just one of those things. But just always remember, if you go into this profession, there's no fantasy to it. There's no games to it. Rough job, and you just have to be a different kind of person. You can't go in demanding respect. You got to earn respect. Respect is a two-way street. You got to give it to get it. Just remember, Like, share, and subscribe, and always stay on the other side.